After 5 days crouching in pirogues and 3 days aboard the African Queen, we're ready for a change. Thank you, Josephi, Muswava, and Babari for a job well done.
Then, his job now is to get us from Bekapaka across Belo, Tsiribihina.
We're 2/3 into our 1-month tour through Madagascar. We've explored its caves, experienced life on its rivers, and now we're preparing to journey by land, traversing several hundred miles of some of the country's most difficult terrain by 4-wheel drive.
Now where we're thinking of going is down here to Tulear.
The Manambolo downstream of the gorge spreads wide. The serenity of life on the river will soon be a thing of the past. This ought to get our blood moving. Our driver is either hopped up on crack or believes he's Mario Andretti. All we can do is hang on, though there's nothing to hang on to. Here's why we opted out from public transportation. A trashed wheel means days of waiting for parts to arrive. The tire is set ablaze for light and heat.
It's love to have someone come and meet you while you're barfing out the window.
How we ended up transporting an extra passenger in our already crammed rental is beyond me, but the wild rodeo had her throwing up in the back seat, which is why we're stopped here. The violent bouncing continues into the night. Dawn provides our sick woman an air pillow, and Pam, her mothering instincts never far, provides a little TLC. The gate goes up. Our new driver, Augustine, pays the local tariff, and we're on our way. Our route promises adventure. Our mission, to drive south from Morondava in the backcountry and along the coast, all the way to Tulear. I've heard it jokingly called the Death Road, full of hazards and surprises, a Spiny Desert environment, not the place for mechanical problems. We have just over a week to reach our destination. We're interested to learn how folks live in some of the isolated seaside communities, to see the land, and experience well off the beaten path. We're deep in Sakalava land, this bright lambda and fancy handbag, the ensemble of a proud young bachelor. It's a great color, especially on parakeets. A passerby signals us to slow down. Something's ahead. It's a zebu cart, still arguably the most reliable form of transportation in the country. Our wheels, an aging Nissan Patrol, isn't so bad a ride. I can't help but wonder, though, what the death road will throw her, and if she's truly up for it. Drivers like Augustine, taking on a mission like ours, must be prepared for anything. To sleep through this, now that's tired. I wonder what she's dreaming. Better times. Weary travelers, everyone. Much of Madagascar's southwest is Spiny Desert. We'll be seeing lots of this gnarly plant, Madagascar osatillo, a native succulent that points into the wind, which here is always from the south. We might get stuck, but never lost. Out here on the flats, great nothingness abounds. Our day begins with a quick pit stop at a salt production center. Canals deliver salt water from the Mozambique Channel to these basins. Allowed to dissipate, a thick crust of sea salt forms. Workers break up the crust with mallets. The salt is scraped into piles. Rinsed. And collected in large heaps. We had thrown out a bag of salt earlier to trim our load. Now it's back. Another gatekeeper. The children want bonbons.
Don't have any bonbons.
The mother wants bonbons. We're clearly not the first tourists to pass this way. Heading inland, we're back into the red soil. Imagine this place during rainy season, at times an impassable muck trap. Presently, it's a dust bowl. The choking dust isn't only hard on us, it's hard on the video camera. The presence of soil supports countless termite mounds. It appears the tops have been chopped off. I ask Mberi what he might know about that.
And they take all the termites inside on the small baskets, and they bring these termites at home, and they feed with these termites the small chicken. That's the food for the termites. Yeah, the leaves, the death leaves.
Using termites to convert cellulose into animal proteins is a clever idea. Other cultures are known to collect termites for feeding chickens, even raising and feeding termites to speed the process. Out here in the Spiny Desert, one well-adapted tree catches the eye. Behold, Madagascar's famous baobab trees. Beautiful and at the same time funny-looking, the Arabian legend of the baobab is that the devil plucked up the baobab, thrust its branches into the earth, and left its roots in the air. Deciduous trees, baobabs only have leaves 3 months of the year during the rainy season, storing enough water in their massive trunks to sustain them through 9 months of desert conditions. Baobabs can grow to be 3,000 years old. This must be a baby baobab. Whether hiding beneath a thin layer of soil or sticking out like exposed bones, the limestone outcroppings are never far. The going is slow, but steady. Our journey to faraway Tulear will be hard on this vehicle, requiring many days of maintenance to recover. Feeling her flimsy old frame creak and groan with each bump, she's clearly been through hell already. I jokingly describe her to Clem as a mechanized flip-flop. The name sticks. Flip-flop. Driving my latest choice in footwear, foot problems. Originally just a minor cut obtained back in the Ankarana, the now festering wound has had weeks of exposure to rivers, dirt, grains of sand, and constant chafing by footstraps. We've been dealing with these really slow-healing insect bites. My concern had been over an infected eye, but a good flushing fixed that problem. I now noticed this wound talking to me, warm to the touch and tender. I've kept Neosporin on it since the day I got cut, which, as I later learn, is a mistake. The petroleum jelly content prevents the necessary drying. Will my leg fall off? Will my camera bite the dust?
Why does it do that?
Will flip-flop give out? There's no sense giving in to all the questions. Mora mora. Beginning in Morondava, we've cut inland a ways and worked our way south, arriving for an overnight stay in Manja. Hello, Manjans. Interesting. A blind man. Of some age, and getting around on his own just fine. Life in remote regions isn't a cakewalk for a person with all their faculties. I can't help but wonder how he does it. What he does to survive. Malagasy commonly keep house cats and dogs. Dogs have all been these generic mongrels. These are the first long-haired dogs we've seen. I wouldn't want to be a long-haired dog in this climate. I wouldn't mind being a lemur, but keeping lemurs as pets is illegal in Madagascar. Lemurs are entirely gentle creatures, no threat to humans, and if the same could be said for the well-being of the lemur, I couldn't see any problem with that. But look at this poor guy. We thought he was just old and unwell. Barry says this brown lemur is young.
I just peed. And she peed on the table.
Because that's what varmints do.
Its problem is the wrong diet. It needs to live in trees, eating buds, flowers, and leaves. And fruit. Poor Pam, also fighting a war inside her gut. Dawn and I go exploring. We don't get far before hearing live music. Question answered. The blind man. He's a troubadour, and he's good. And Barry even recognizes him. His name is Jean-Louis, and Barry remembers as a boy seeing him perform in faraway Morondava. He also remembers hearing the story of how Jean-Louis was stabbed by a man out of jealousy over a woman. The spirit driving this man, powerful. Returning to the hotel, it appears Pam's feeling a little better. Miles and miles of the Madagascar landscape roll by. We see fancy tombs and simple tombs. Eucalyptus trees, and impressive baobabs. Grassy plains, and always the charred ground. Fasten your belt, it's gonna be a long, bumpy ride. Still unwell, Pam asked to get out and walk a spell, and who could blame her? We cross streams, see friendly locals doing laundry. We now meet up with these guys. I have no idea why we stopped in the first place. All I know is what little water we have, 2 bottles just got passed out the window. Note the 25 to 30 zebu in the background. No sooner had I pulled my camcorder out to film, did the lead guy point a menacing finger. I keep filming, attempting to convey with hands, we give you water, you let me film, fair trade. And Barry directs Augustine to move on. Those were bandits, and Barry explains. He'd heard from a lady in some town along the way about the distance these guys could have covered walking non-stop, that bandits came. They shot and killed a man trying to protect his herd, left with all his zebu. So, why didn't Barry stop? And why doesn't he turn them in? Zebu rustling is a tradition here, and it's a serious problem. Military patrols are paid to turn a blind eye. People largely have to protect themselves. As for our own safety, the bandits know better than to mess with the country's important moneymaker, tourism. But Amberi doesn't want trouble from these guys, taking the path of least resistance. We arrive at another toll station. Since with each rainy season, the passable road takes a different approach, these guys want us to hire a guide to point the way. Deal. As we pull out, excited locals point to something they want me to see. With all the noise, I'm confused what Amberi wants from me.
Well, talk to me.
My heart sinks to see another wasted Nile crocodile. Shouts from the vehicle finally become clear, and Barry wants me not to film, not to demonstrate our interest. in crocodile products. Flip-flop, you're drowning. So, that was the passable route?
Wow.
Maybe we paid him for the pleasure of watching our white faces turn even whiter.
That was a rush.
At last, the Mongoki River. Augustine assesses our last hurdle, a long stretch of deep, soft sand. As with the Tsiribihina and Manambolo Rivers, the Mongoki River Delta is virtually one continuous sandbar, massive-scale sediment transport resulting from deforestation. Go flip-flop. A four-wheel drive is a must out here. And even then it's sometimes not enough. It takes each of us, including the cameraman, to push. Exposure to fine sand screws with the camera optics. I can't spare a hand to override the focus. The sand is scorching hot. Flimsy flip-flops absolutely suck in deep sand. My feet just can't win. Ow, man, this stuff is burning.
You see what's going on over there, Benjamin?
What's that?
They're going over there to rescue us for a fee.
We're obviously not the first vehicle to get stuck here. Locals hang out waiting for it to happen, so they might get hired to push. We're either too cheap or too macho.
You pushing?
Never.
Perhaps I should pay one of them to film. Once moving, flip-flop keeps moving. A welcome moment to wash off and refresh in the Mongoki River. Flip-flop drives onto a barge, and we prepare for the last major river crossing, or even minor stream crossing, of our journey south to Tulear. We're approaching the end of Madagascar's dry season. There's no way in hell we'd be attempting this during the rainy season. Everything shuts down. Everyone stays put when the rains come. Not only do the roads become a quagmire, even more dangerous are the streams and rivers that rise high on their banks. Mberi relates an incident that happened along our route 2 years ago. A Swiss tourist, insistent on attempting the overland journey during rainy season, found a driver to take him. The driver, unsure his vehicle could make it, entered the stream to assess its depth. He was eaten alive by a crocodile.
Hello, ma.
We're finally on some semblance of a real road. It's a real washboard. But we're now zooming along. I noticed Flip-Flop making a sound she didn't make before, a metal-on-metal creaking. It's like all the jimmying back and forth is about to cause Flip-Flop to rattle apart. I climb out the window to have a look at the roof rack, and there's the problem. One of the metal supports completely cracked in two. Never mind the annoying creaking. If we don't provide lashing, the stress energy will only pass to the remaining 3 supports, possibly breaking them. Then all our stuff goes flying. Clem's rig appears solid enough. We've at least bought some time. Not a minute later, Clem's grab handle pops loose. What's next? The steering wheel? Flip-Flop's floor ventilation system is state-of-the-art. We're down to our last water. So how are we on fuel? Just how Augustine makes that call is beyond me. The fuel gauge is stuck on empty. Though we're closing in on our stopover, Morondava is still miles out. I think the rack is loosening. Flip-Flop faithfully delivers her road-weary crew to the edge of town. I feel like we should take a victory lap, but better not push our luck. While tanking up, I inspect the rack supports. 3 out of the 4 supports are completely cracked in two. Good morning, Flip-Flop. You don't have to be a mechanic to get a kick out of this. It appears every part under the hood has been jury-rigged and hanging on a shoestring. For Pam and Clem, it's the end of the road, at least the long, bumpy back road. They'll be taking the last available major highway leading out of Morondava and meeting up with Dawn and me in Tulear.
Happy motoring.
Yeah, you too.
It's probably happier than ours.
It remains to be seen.
Try a little bit.
Okay, we'll try it.
It's a cassava, sweet cassava.
Mberi loads the basket with dried fish and cassava, the world's highest producer of food calories per cultivated area.
Try.
Cassava, sweet cassava.
A dry mouthful of flavorless starch. Not a minute down the road, and the reeking bag of dried fish pervades my every thought. Topside, the air is fresh, and I'm happy to see solid new welds holding the rack, which now support a much lighter load. Based on the flats off to our right, we're clearly paralleling the Mozambique Channel. This might imply relatively smooth going, but I'm also anticipating more soft, deep sand. With fewer people to help push, not if, but when we get stuck, I'm looking at an old cut on my big toe that's also refused to heal, and thinking I better take care of this now, while I can. This isn't a pimple, but I squeeze it like one, hoping to force what I feel is a tiny grain of sand lodged deep inside the cut. Damn, I think I actually have it.
Got it.
I do have it. Success.
Okay.
Okay, deep sand, bring it on.
Please, can you put here?
Sure.
Just down there and go back. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
It appears Flip-Flop is on the rag again. Fuel-related issues. Augustine adds some magic juice. And we're rolling. The little Flip-Flop that could, making good time. Slammed by limestone outcrops once again. Check it out, satellite receiver and solar power panels. Here we go, deep sand. I might as well get ready. Mberi preempts. Whoops, left the door open. Whoops, premature preemption. Mberi's adding his weight to the rear axle. We're slowing down, so I jump in the back. Shoot, if it helps, get back here, Dawn. Let's go for maximum rear axle load. I really have no idea if this is helping, but we're not pushing. Back here, I'm at ground zero with the stinky fish. Memorable. Back here, I finally appreciate how Dawn suffered in silence for days on end, with this, her view. Flip-Flop, what's up? A dirty fuel filter, no major surprise.
100 kilos or 350.
We've covered quite a few miles in Spiny Desert. If this were a serious mechanical breakdown, how would that look? Remote as we are, I see human foot tracks everywhere. And smaller animals. I wonder where that leads to. How do people do it here? We happen to have broken down right next to a really neat baobab tree. I wonder what causes the psychedelic patterns covering the trunk. Possibly a fungus? Success! Bravo, Augustine and Umberi. Oh, Flip-Flop, is it something you ate? More priming. A little patience. Good luck charms? I'll take it.
And we made it another 100 feet.
The gas oil must be cleaned.
Uh-huh. We'll take it all out and then filter it.
Make that way. Oh no.
Oh well. Get out of the way, Benji.
That's kind of hard for me to do.
Terry,
Oui.
is this such a good idea for him to be smoking a cigarette down there?
I might have known Flip-Flop runs on hard-to-ignite diesel, but I didn't. Three times the charm? It's now clear to Augustine that either dirt has contaminated the fuel, or we've been sold fuel cut with water at the last gas station in Morondava. Umberi says it's a common problem in the backcountry. I'm growing a bit nervous at the thought of what's to come. Well, Houston, I guess we really do have a problem.
We should have more and more good problem.
Yeah.
Okay?
So we walk to the village
And we try to find a payroll
at Pirogue and go by the Mozambique Channel
by the Mozambique Channel.
all the way
Sorry
to
Tulear.
to Salon. Guess I don't have to be nervous anymore, worrying about what might be. It's a disturbing sight, a kaput flip-flop receding from view. We've got less than an hour of light. Not that it really matters. We've got plenty of food, but we're down to a couple liters of water between all four of us. I'm loaded down pretty good, front and back about 60 pounds. Dawn's hauling about 50. Umberi's got the 30-pound, half-empty but unwieldy pig on his back, something he suggested leaving behind, but I wouldn't let him. Plus his personal handbag. And Augustine's traveling light. At least we made it just past all that deep sand and now can really hoof it on hard-packed dirt track. We're headed to the nearest village, no telling how far. And what did Umberi say? Row pirogues all the way to Tulear? I am impressed by Dawn's high spirits. Considering circumstances, that's no small thing. But hey, we're here. It's beautiful out. We're in Madagascar. Zebu. Wouldn't that mean the owners are close by? There we go, up ahead, a village. I get the feeling not many outsiders come this way, and never on foot.
So I have to see the chief of the village.
Yes.
Waiting for the chief, we stand and stare at each other.
Salama.
And that itself will remain a highlight of this trip. I walk over to check out a tree full of chickens. Behind me, I hear children following. In a land where stories of white cannibals strike fear in the minds of children, I have an idea. Look, it's you. With nightfall, the chief comes to discuss our situation with Mberi and his clan. Given the problem with flip-flop, bad fuel, an alternative to the pirogues presents itself. Some 4 or 5 miles up the road lies another village, and they run a generator. We could possibly buy good fuel from their chief, get flip-flop moving again. It's welcome work for the young men hauling our packs. So off into the night we go. Am I glad I worked on my big toe? What a smooth landing for Dawn and me. White person.
What?
Looks like a white person on board.
See them?
Yeah. I'd almost rather head to Tulear by boat, just for the experience. But the boys hiked through the night, returning to Flip-Flop with a container of good diesel, and now she's ready to roll. As I pack, a rapt audience studies with amazement every single thing I pick up and put away. Now there's music to my ears. For his fine hospitality and selling us fuel, a precious commodity here, the chief hitches a ride with us to Tulear. His name is Clem Lamar, and he's more of a mayor to his people than a chief. It's business as usual, deep sand. Lots of pushing. Lots of banging around in our seats. More mechanical issues. A new sound, and this one's awful. We stop to investigate. The fender scrapes on the tire with every right turn. But why? It's not deformed. The culprit? A severely displaced strut. Our bangathon along Madagascar's death road may yet prove too much for old Flip-Flop. The plane! The first we've seen in almost a month. That looks useful. Scrub branches layered on the deep sand. Wonder who's responsible for that. We're now entering a long stretch that skirts the Mozambique Channel, most of the way inside of a heavenly seascape.
Wow, beautiful.
Though beach resorts aren't exactly our thing, and though I love the feeling of this place the way it is, wild and pristine, I also see what a resource these beaches represent in potential for tourism. One crazy Italian, Francesco, and his Malagasy wife, Claire, share a vision to attract visitors to faraway Madagascar and bask in her natural riches. Guests will fly in on a private airstrip or arrive by boat. They've named it Fasci Sicily, Spirit of Sicily, a work in progress to feature 10 bungalows, a restaurant, spectacular vistas, fresh fish, bread, and fixins'. The amazing part is, every building, every piece of furniture in a building is architected, designed, and hand-built virtually single-handed by Francesco. His spirited entrepreneurial energy inspires each of us, but I feel for the mayor, a public servant up against large issues. Given our personal situation, I'm curious how many other cars break down on the death road, outsiders landing on his doorstep needing help.
Each car who passes has a problem.
Each car?
Yes.
Every car?
Every car. Yes.
The branches covering the deep sand, that's road maintenance work hired out by the mayor. But his budget isn't enough to cover but the smallest percentage of the long death road. It's difficult enough during dry season, and in rainy season nobody can get in or out. Clem's community literally stuck in the sand. So what's his annual budget, I'm curious to know, and what all does it cover? The mayor is responsible for 14,000 inhabitants, occupying 160,000 square miles. His annual budget? A paltry $3,000, about 20 cents a person. To Dawn and me, the deep sand represents an element of adventure. mayor, getting stuck is just that, lost time. We're digging out for different reasons, and yet for the same reason, like two sides of a coin. It's only a matter of coins for the mayor, for his country, our little adventure here. But if, in the telling of our story, others come to experience wild Madagascar, then maybe Andasibe Park can stay in business and the Indri survive. Maybe Madagascar's ecotourism stands a better chance of saving what's left, the magnificent Ankarana, lemurs on the river, and every bit as beautiful as these, the indomitable spirit of the Malagasy people.
You like? Yeah.
I'll save you.
No, no. Every time, every day, a new adventure.
Yes.